War. What do you picture when you hear that word? Soldiers returning home victorious? A noble war of revolution? A noble cause? Or maybe you picture something more negative: death. Wars some consider a mistake. Loss. Whatever you picture, why do you picture those things? How does that affect your opinion on wars? Do you get those ideas from media, family, friends? All of those? Maybe none? War is something that affects everyone, so everyone should be educated on it, from all sides of the story. Ignorance fuels anger-ridden arguments and emotional responses. Pay attention to these accounts.
I'm Shia, and I'm a freshman.
Hi, my name is Finn, and I am a sophomore in high school.
Hello, my name is Logan, and I'm in the 11th grade.
I'm Dakota. I'm a senior this year.
My name's Shane Scalf, and I'm a veteran. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years, from 1994 to 1998. And then after about a year break, I went into the U.S. Army for 8 years.
There is no need to change opinions or form new ones. All I ask is that you listen and try to educate yourself in why others believe, feel, and think what they do. What is war? How would you define it?
War is a long-term battle fought by many people for a seemingly good reason by a country.
I would define war in one sentence as two sides fighting over a reason that the country that they are fighting for has decided to be a good reason to go over war for.
I picture a lot of pain, death, tragedy, honestly.
Every living being is connected to war.
My great-grandpa served as a cook, and somebody on my dad's side served in the Vietnam.
My brother was about to get out of the Air Force, and I think my great-granddad was in the Navy in World War II.
I am aware that my great-grandfather served in World War II.
Yeah, my older brother served in the Air Force. He just got out actually, but he served in it for I think around 10 years. And my great-grandpa served in the Navy, I think, and he served in the Vietnam War.
I do have an uncle that did serve in the Army, a couple of uncles, but I didn't know them very well. I, of course, have friends that have served alongside of me when I was in the military.
We all have stories, maybe our own, maybe others, of what war is like. These shape our opinion of war.
My great-grandpa had affected him a lot, especially in his later life. He had dementia, he suffered from dementia, and just a lot of problems due to it. And my older brother did not like being in the military, and it caused him to have some mental health problems. So
I remember my great-grandpa was at Pearl Harbor, I think. He told a story about that. And he was on one of the ships when they got attacked. And a plane went right over his head and hit the ship behind him or something like that.
I did watch a lot of my buddies that were coming in and their experience for what they were going to be accomplishing over there wasn't a good picture. We had people that said the first time I deployed to Afghanistan, we were there to get women into schools, to be able to go to school, and we were there to liberate. And then the next tour that they went on, they said, well, there's a lot of confusion and we didn't get to really accomplish a lot of our objectives before we came back. And then they said by the time they had their third tour, they were like, what are we doing here? They just didn't understand what their overall mission or what they were trying to accomplish.
People serve in war for many different reasons. Dr. Terry Johnson, former staff sergeant who I was given the opportunity to interview for this project, says he joined for financial reasons because the military had what they called the GI Bill, which if you served one term, they would sponsor 4 years of college for you. And so that was one thing that really, made me want to go ahead and do my term to serve for that financial reason. He also has a history of family serving, which motivated him as well.
You know, I was raised in Lincoln, Nebraska, and in Lincoln, Nebraska, there's a lot of cornfields there. In high school, I wanted to do more. I wanted to go see the world. I wanted to. I decided I was going to join the Marines. I chose the Marines because I wanted to be the best. And when I went into the military, I got an opportunity to get out of Lincoln, Nebraska. And I really didn't think about the whole big picture of what it meant to be in the military. But I was just looking for an opportunity for me to do, have a different life of adventure, and I was really, I was an athlete in high school, and I really loved the physical aspect of being in the Marines, and that was the draw.
I have never considered military service as a route in life, just because of the danger, and of course, being Christian, carrying a gun is kind of against our values.
I would say no to the recruit, but I may not mean that forever. My thoughts may change in the future, but I will most likely always say no.
Not everyone that fights chooses to, however, and sometimes countries enact drafts. When I asked Dr. Johnson what he thought of the practice of drafting, he stated that there should be some way to give back during wartime through something like AmeriCorps as an option. But that's the only way I would feel comfortable with a type of draft.
You know, I haven't had any personal experience with draft, considering the last time there was a draft initiated was in Vietnam. But my personal opinion is that if our nation wants to go to war, there should be such an overwhelming support for that war across the board and across, more than just a small percentage of the population that want it, that there shouldn't be a need for it. If we really had a situation where we needed to defend ourselves, or it was extremely necessary for us to go and have U.S. lives be at stake, that I think that there should be enough support before we did that.
If I were to be drafted, I would, pray. That'd be one of my first reactions. I have to, of course, say goodbye to family, friends, girlfriend. Probably have to do a lot of paperwork to put my life on hold.
I would be very scared, but also I would feel like there's a need for this draft, so there must be a need for me to actually serve, and I would take it seriously, and I would not act like I was just a citizen just being put into war and given a gun. I would actually act like I was a soldier, not useless.
If I was drafted, I don't even know. I probably would be pretty freaked out. I don't like the idea of having to go into the military. The idea of being forced into it is not something I can imagine myself liking very much.
My reaction to a draft emotionally, I would look reserved on the outside and peaceful, but on the inside be terrified and scared for the future, both because I don't know what's going to happen and because I kind of know what's going to happen. It's war. People die.
Religion plays a role in people's service. Dr. Johnson said that it played a very valuable role to me because that is what probably kept me going when I would have rough and hard days, knowing that I would have a time to reflect with God and recharge my batteries. And that a lot of people who were in the military will find that if they had a spiritual background, even if they weren't practicing when they went in, it gets a lot deeper when they're actually in the military.
Christianity teaches pacifism as an ideal, and I don't want to risk killing someone, which would be breaking one of the commandments. Also, finding a peaceful means to end things is kind of in my...
Religion definitely does play a role in my feelings around war, because a lot of the things said in the Bible goes against what war is supposed to be, what just war is. So, but also a lot of times war was fought in the Bible, and I'm sure God didn't like it, but it happened then. So we just have to study the Bible more and figure out better ways.
So when I was in the Marine Corps, I would say that even though I was raised Methodist, I actually had kind of pulled away from the church pretty wholeheartedly until about the midway point in my time in the Army, and my wife and I had 2 little ones, and we just wanted something better for them. And there was actually a point where a lot of things were going wrong, and all of a sudden, I felt like my first kind of I had an experience where I felt kind of hopeless, and I told my wife, I think I need to go to church. Long story short, my wife and I was baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church. She was rebaptized in Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Warfare is ever-changing. Weapons advance, tactics improve, death tolls climb.
It's better and worse at the exact same time, but thankfully we've banned a lot of the worse options. Not that that stops countries from using them. It just helps. The current state of warfare in a logical sense, I think that a lot of wars are fought senselessly and for no real reason other than like political gain. They're not fought for like they're not fought to uphold morals. They're more fought to further somebody's career or something along those lines. And the current state of warfare emotionally, it's still very hard on families, friends, lovers, whomever, still hard on communities. But nowadays we have greater forms of communication, so people can actually talk to the people who are out in war zones, and the people in war zones can be comforted by the voice of the ones of loved ones. And the government's way of telling the families about the death of one of their service members is a lot better than it used to be. There's almost a guarantee if somebody dies, you will be notified. And also there's like public funerals and stuff like that. A lot of honoring to the dead.
I think war's always been bad, and right now it's like with the drone stuff, people are getting killed more easily, and we also have nukes and stuff that could like kill billions of people in like a day. So war is like really dangerous today.
Objectively, I feel like we are going in a bad direction with war, and I feel like people are losing empathy for other people, and it's causing a lot more tension, and I feel like it's going to lead to more war, and I don't think that's a good direction to be headed.
When it comes to the non-use of personnel and more use of drones and or robots on the battlefield, there still should be that accountability piece. We can't lose our humanity just because we have the technology to be, thousands of miles away and pulling the trigger. Pulling the trigger is pulling the trigger.
Dr. Johnson phrases it very simply. It's just scary. And I think that is a way to put it that largely reflects what many people think. Most people see war as an inevitability.
Logically, war is definitely a solution, but it's not a good solution. And I think we just need to put more thought into something that people can work out together, but also people aren't ready for that big of change and will be afraid of it, and that will cause a spiral of events that will probably lead to bigger war if we just try to stop doing war altogether.
War as a solution has been proven to work, especially in ancient times when diplomacy was in an infant state. Nowadays, diplomacy is the first option used by countries, used by first world countries at least. But they don't always solve everything. Like World War I is a great example. It was supposed to be the war to end all wars, and we had World War II. That's why it's called World War I. When it comes to something that's like two countries opposing in like a more political way, like World War II as an example, we were opposing the Nazis. I think war is probably the best solution because you're not going to change the minds of an entire population by talking to them. But when it comes to something smaller like border disputes or something like that, it should probably be handled with diplomacy.
War has been a constant for humanity ever since we formed civilizations. War is scary, and there is a growing feeling that it is only getting scarier as we advance as a society. We went from sticks to metal sticks to guns to machine guns to nuclear weapons, and those advancements were not evenly spread out. Most people think that war is bad, and yet it seems unavoidable. Why do you see war the way you do? What shapes your opinion on it? Think about your reasoning and the reasoning you heard in these clips next time you think or discuss the topic of war. Remember that nothing in this world is black and white, and there is always another side to the story. Next time you disagree with someone so strongly that you can't even understand why they believe what they do, remember this video. Remember all the stories and opinions you've heard. The only bad discussion is one that is uninformed on any side. Have the difficult conversations, because without them, we get war. I urge you to consider donating to Clark County Veterans Assistance Center, a local veteran support organization. The link to that can be found in the survey in the description. Huge thanks to all the people willing to be interviewed for this project. I had an amazing interview with Mr. Scalf for this video, which you saw snippets of throughout this video. Unfortunately, due to time constraints of this assignment, as well as a few other factors, I was unable to include a lot of our interview. What you saw was probably 1/8 of what was in the full interview. For this reason, I have linked an unlisted video in the description that is the full interview with Mr. Scalf, with only the parts where I talked edited out, which I highly recommend you watch. Be warned, the editing on that video is much worse than on this one, as it was not intended to be the final product. Dr. Terry Johnson has written 2 books about his experiences, including his time in the White House. They are linked in the description. Thank you so much for watching. It means everything.